through this sort of national tumult and all of this stuff, and sort of the unraveling of the fabric of America that you sort of described before as your Greek father and your German mother and all of this stuff. And as a guy that lives in New York City, and you just mentioned some of the people in your building, are you worried that we're going to look back and go, man, we had something that was so freaking precious and we didn't even realize it? That perhaps the ship has even sailed on that already?
Funny you should bring that up, because I've thought about this day and night for years now. I wrote a book. I don't have a copy here, but if I could give a copy to everyone in your audience, everyone in America, it's called If You Can Keep It. Franklin was asked after the Constitutional Convention, Dr. Franklin.
We're going to get to it. Let's do it right now.
Well, that's really,
we'll link to it. We'll link to it, yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that over the years, because of my faith and because of my evolving political views, I began to notice some things, right? And I began to notice, for example, one of the reasons America is great is that it's an idea. It's not an ethnic tribal group, right? Everybody, my father with his Greek accent, my mother with a German accent, they can become as American as George Washington. That's a new concept in the history of the world. It's a beautiful concept. And so, if it's true that America is an idea, and if we're self-governing, unless people know that idea, understand how that works, and live out that idea of governing themselves and, in a sense, teaching others how to self-govern, what this means, how fragile and beautiful this is, and what we must do to keep it, if we don't, it goes away absolutely. There's just no question. There's no question whether it will go away. It will go away. It's been going away. So I wrote my book, If You Can Keep It, specifically to put in a small, easily readable book the very basics of what one needs to know to get it. Why you need to love your country with all its flaws, why you must love your country, why you must fight for liberty, and on and on and on. And I have to say, in large part, because I am a Christian, I have hope when most people wouldn't see hope. I think God's had his hand on this country. Listen, Lincoln called us the almost chosen people. Now, why would he say that? He said it because he knew, he could see that there was something, in fact, he used the phrase, something uncommon. This is not just another country. If you believe that God has had his hand on the Jews, which I certainly do, that's not something you party about, right? It's a tremendous burden to be chosen by God, because it means he's going to use you, and you're going to suffer, and it's not going to be easy, and so God has blessed this country amazingly, but he's used this country to export liberty and wealth and on to the whole world, because just as Israel was created by God to reach the whole world, to reach the nations outside of Israel, America and all our blessings are intended for the rest of the world. So we have something that is so precious. And when I really understood this, I wrote the book, and I have been on a mission, because I said, if we don't educate the next generation, or even this generation, it does go away. And what we're seeing right now, I think, is the heat of the battle. We're in the midst of a battle where we have a president, in a sense, who by God's grace has dragged us back from the cliff of oblivion, and so we have some time to back away from the cliff. But if Hillary had been elected, which is, you asked me earlier how could I vote for Trump, I'm convinced that Hillary Clinton and Obama and those folks are genuinely tremendously corrupt. In other words, that they will put their own interests before the interests of the country. So that's strike three. But I also believe that their version of America, their view of America, is fundamentally antithetical to the founders' view. The founders' view of America, they don't share. They want to undo it. They have worked cleverly over the decades to undo it, along with all the institutions I mentioned earlier. And I really believe that had Hillary been elected, for example, and instead of Roberts and Kavanaugh, we had gotten, son of Sotomayor and bride of Sotomayor. If that had happened, it's over. The Constitution, just because it's a piece of paper, it's meaningless unless we have judges that are interpreting things according to it, unless we have people that understand it. So to me, there's no question that we're right on that precipice, as it were.